Here we are in Adobe Illustrator, and I have 10 logos prepared that I'm going to recreate by using this circle on the left side. The only shape that we will need for the entire tutorial. Of course, we will be using lots of different techniques from Pathfinder, Shape Builder, the repeat option, and by watching this video, you will be able to pick up some very useful shortcuts as well. Now, in case you want to follow along, you can download the file from the description below. So the first thing I'm going to do is to double click on the reference layer and turn on the template option. I'm going to have the images dimmed down to 10%. That way we will be able to concentrate on what we are doing. So I'm going to use this circle, as I said already in the beginning. It's already set to have no fill and just a black thin outline. I will actually set that outline to 1 point, just to make it easier to work with it. And I'm going to Alt click and drag or Option click and drag to duplicate this. Now let's zoom a little bit closer. So we are going to start with MasterCard. And by the way, we will have the complexity and difficulty of the logos increasing as we are moving along. So I'm just using the Shift key to resize this shape, and then Alt or Option click and drag again, holding down also the Shift key to keep it only moving horizontally. And once I have it in the right place, I can select these two circles, press question mark or / on the keyboard to remove the stroke color, then select the paint bucket tool by pressing K on the keyboard. And then from the swatches panel, I have this category prepared for the MasterCard logo. I'm using the left and right arrows to quickly move between these colors, and I can just quickly fill in the colors, having this one here in the middle, and we are already done. So that was very easy. Let's move on to the next one. Once again, I start with the same circle, zoom closer. Now this is target. This will be fairly easy as well. I'm going to create this circle here on the outside first. I'm using the Shift key to resize this. So let's just make it slightly bigger like that. And in this case, I'm going to change the stroke settings. So I'm going to set the alignment to inside. And then using the Shift key, I will quickly increase the stroke weight, maybe going a little bit higher like that. And selecting the stroke color, I'm going to choose the color that I prepared for this logo. Now I'm going to quickly duplicate this shape by pressing Command or Control C and then Command or Control F. That will paste in place. I'm going to resize this, holding down the Shift key and quickly swapping the stroke color to the fill color by pressing Shift X. So now I'm going to just resize it and align it to the original logo. Now to keep things tidy, I'm going to select these two shapes and group them together. That's Command or Control G. And this is something we didn't have to do for MasterCard because there we used the paint bucket tool, which already created a live paint group. Moving on, let's do Audi's logo. I'm going to duplicate this shape again, resize it, increase the stroke size to match the original design in the back. We probably need to make it slightly bigger, something like that. And this one is very simple. I just have to duplicate, again, holding down Option or Alt Shift, drag it to the side. And then to repeat this duplication, I'm using the Command or Control D shortcut twice. And there we are. Grouping this together with Command or Control G, we have our third logo ready. Let's move on to the Olympic logo now. I'm going to create again the first circle. I will resize this and let's increase the stroke size a bit, something like that. Now you will see that I'm not always 100% accurate because I just want to concentrate on the techniques. Of course, if we have more time, we can always be much more accurate, but I'm just going to get it close to what we have in the original logos. And I think that's close enough. So now, once again, we can duplicate this, have it placed here, and then press Command or Control D to have the same distance again for the third circle. And then let's select two of these, Option or Alt, click and drag them down here. Now the space between these two circles is exactly the same as on the top row. That's why I selected those two together. But what's important with the Olympic logo is how these circles are intertwining. So it's not enough to colorize them. We'll also have to do an additional step at the end. But first, let's just change the colors. So I have these colors prepared again. This one is that. We have the green one here, and then we have this orange at the bottom. And I'm just going to move this a little bit further down just so we can have a better look at how these interlocking shapes are created. So one quick method to do this would be to select all of these shapes together and then go to the object menu and choose expand. This is going to turn the strokes that we have here to fills. And once that's done, I can switch to the paint bucket tool again by pressing K, and then let's select the blue color first and click on this little area here. As you can see immediately, we have that overlap created. So now it feels like the blue circle is in front of the orange or yellow one. Then we can switch to black color and fill in this one here. With the same black color still selected, I can also click on this section here. And then with the green color, we just have to click on this one here. So just with a few simple steps, we managed to create this interlocking effect. And now we can just place this back here and we have our first row of logos ready. Moving on to the second row, we have a little bit more complex logos to recreate. First, starting with the Vodafone logo. So first, once again, I'm going to resize this circle to roughly match what we have in the original logo. There we go. Now we just have to duplicate this. So that's Command or Control C and then Command or Control F. Make sure it's placed in the exact same position. And I'm using Alt or Option Shift keys to resize this and keep it centered. So it should be aligned to the other circle in the middle. Something like that. And we will also need 2 additional circles. So I'm just going to duplicate this once again. Align it to the left edge of that smaller circle. You can see there is a snap thanks to the smart guides that's turned on by default. But this circle needs to be slightly differently shaped. So I'm going to select this top anchor point and just drag it down a bit. I think we have a good curve there, which is very similar to the original logo. And now we just need one more circle. I'm going to again duplicate this original one and align it to that curve there. I don't care about the rest of the details outside. I'm just concentrating on the actual outlines of the logo, because what we will do now is to select all of these together and then use one of my favorite tools, the Shape Builder, which you can select by pressing Shift M, and then holding down the Alt or Option key, we can very quickly get rid of all the unnecessary details. So I can just paint over these, also these ones here in the middle, and then the remaining ones we just paint over without holding down any keyboard shortcuts. And there you go, we have our final version. I'm just going to swap the stroke to fill colors by pressing Shift X and then change the color to the Vodafone red. As I said, this is not 100% accurate, but close enough for a quick 1-minute technique. Let's move on to CBS's logo, the I. I'm going to start with this circle in the middle. Holding down Shift key, I'm making sure that while I'm resizing, I'm not distorting this shape, because for this logo, we have to make sure that this is a perfect circle like that. I'm going to then duplicate this shape and resize it. Holding down Alt or Option Shift together, let's move this up and align it here. Then we need another circle just below it, and then one additional one for this curve here. Now to make sure that these 3 larger circles are evenly distributed, I'm using the Align panel Vertical Distribute Center option. And then selecting all of the circles together, including the smaller one in the middle, I can use the horizontal align center as well. Now that we have them in place, we can jump back to our Shape Builder tool, Shift M, and then holding down Alt or Option key, we can get rid of the details that we don't need and simply draw over the details we would like to combine without holding down any keyboard shortcuts. Now we can press Shift X to swap the stroke to fill, and we have another logo finished. Let's move on to Toyota's logo. Again, I'm starting with a circle. However, here we will distort the circle into an ellipse. So I'm not holding down the Shift key in this case. I'm just dragging these points out. Now in this case, I'm going to keep the stroke aligned to the center because we will need to use a variable width, and that feature only works in case you are using the stroke in this setting. So when we start increasing the stroke size, we will have to resize the shape slightly. So I'm holding down the Alt or Option key, resize it like that, also resizing it this way a bit. And you can see that even though we matched the width on the top and the bottom, on the left and the right side, we need more thickness. So for this, we will be using the width tool, which you can find here on the toolbar. It's Shift W. And all you have to do is to click on the center anchor point and then drag it out to the amount that you need. But notice that by default, it's increasing the thickness in both directions. However, if you hold down the Alt or Option key, it's going to change it only in a single direction. So that is what we need here. However, it made the thickness too much for us, so we will have to adjust the other points as well. For now, I'm just going to repeat the same step here on the right side. And to reduce the thickness back on the top and the bottom, we just have to again hold down Alt and Option and drag them back to the level that we need, which is probably somewhere around there. This one here on the top probably can go a little bit higher up. Okay, I think that is close enough. Now for the next ring, I'm going to again draw an ellipse, and I'm going to make sure in this case the stroke is aligned to the outside. I can rely on the smart guides to align the two rings to each other, and then I'm just going to adjust the size a bit. Something like that is close enough, and now we can just select these two shapes, expand their appearance, so everything is turned into fills, and then using the shape builder I can just Alt or Option click on that shape on the outside. For the third ring, I'm just going to use a slightly different method. I'm going to draw each of these shapes individually. So the outline of that circle first, then copy and paste this shape. Reduce the size of that shape and align it to that other one. And now select these two shapes together. Using the shape builder tool, click in between the two, and that turns it into a single shape. So you can see instead of relying on the width tool, it was a little bit faster and we got a little bit more accurate result for that last ring.
Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know about our creative membership program. For a small monthly fee, you get access to over 200 hours of Adobe certified online training courses. Master all the tools and skills needed to become a professional graphic designer or illustrator. As a pro member, you will get mentoring from me and my team, access to webinars, student forum, and creative briefs to help you build an outstanding portfolio. Pro members can also download the project files for all of our YouTube tutorials. Sign up at yesimadesigner.com/memberships and start your free trial today. And now, let's head back to the tutorial.
Now that we are done with the second row, we are moving on to the more complex logos, starting first with BP's beautiful logo using radial symmetry. Now for this one, I am going to start again with a circle, and I am going to align it to these shapes in the background. And I will actually reduce the thickness even further down here, just so I can get as close as possible as I can. I can just move it here. You can see I'm trying to focus on these outlines here. So that's the key to get the right shape. So I'm going to zoom out a bit, and I will go to the object menu and choose Repeat Radial, which will create a couple of copies for us by default, but we will need 18 instances for this logo. Now I will be careful not to change the size of these circles because that's something that we already established in the beginning. But I'm going to move this whole object here and try to align it to the center of that image. And then the key of this technique is to use this little circle here, this widget, with which we can start moving it closer to the center. And this is a really cool effect, by the way. I love playing around with this. But what I'm paying attention to is obviously trying to align things, and I'm paying attention to the silhouette or outline of the logo. I feel like we managed to get fairly close to it. So I'm happy with the way this looks. Now I'm going to remove the stroke color first of all, and then go to the object menu and choose expand. This will once again turn all of these shapes into editable elements. Then I switch to the shape builder tool, and holding down the Alt and Shift keys this time, we can make a marquee selection and delete everything along the way. So I can very quickly get rid of these. And then again here on the right side, just want to make sure I don't delete any important details that we will need in the end. There we go. We've done that bit. And then zooming a little bit closer, I can again hold down Alt or Option Shift and highlight the central part and delete that as well. So now we have only what we need. And now we can switch to the paint bucket tool, pressing K on the keyboard. And then I have already my group of swatches prepared here, with which I can very quickly paint over these inner shapes here. Then selecting white for the center, we can set that back. Then let's select the next color, with which I can again just paint very quickly over all of these shapes on the center. And I don't care about going over the shapes on the outside, because then finally I can use the darkest green and I can just very quickly paint over the edge of this shape, and we are done. So even though it looked like a complex logo to recreate, it was actually fairly simple. Now let's move on to Woolmark's logo. I'm again going to start with the original circle, and let's just align this here. I'm going to start by using the scissors tool, that's C on the keyboard, and I'm going to cut this circle into two. So click on the top and the bottom anchor points, and then select one side of it and press backspace or delete to remove it. So now we have an arc or half a circle, for which I'm going to change the setting slightly. I want to use a round cap, so round edges for it. I'm going to just increase the thickness a bit so we can see it. And I'm going to also change the width profile to this first one. So it's going to have thickness in the center and then gradually getting smaller towards the corner points. Now we can just rotate this around and try to align it to those shapes in the background. Something like that I feel like is going to be close enough to what we need. Now I'm going to Alt click and drag to duplicate this and align it to this other shape up here. Then select the blend tool, that's W on the keyboard, and then click on the first shape, then the next one, and then double clicking on the icon of the blend tool gives us the blend options, from where we can choose specified steps, and in this case we just need to make sure it's set to 3. So we can then click OK, and that looks already quite good. Let's duplicate this, Alt or Option click and drag, then use the rotate tool by pressing R on the keyboard, and then rotate it for this other shape up here. Again, let's try to align it as close as we can. I feel like that looks good. And then let's just do this one more time and align it at the bottom. Again, I feel like that will be close enough for this demonstration. Now we can select all of them together, go to Object menu, expand the appearance, and then before we can use the shape builder tool, we have to do one more round of expand, because these objects, if we take a look at in the layers panel, are still blend groups. So we have to simplify them further by using the expand option and then click OK. Now they are just simple shapes, so we can easily use the shape builder tool, and then just holding down the Alt or Option key, I can get rid of any unnecessary details. I just like to paint over these bits here, these ones there, and then take away this one up there. Maybe there's a little bit of detail there. So let's take a look. We have a few more details, so I'm just going to select all of them together once again. Let's not forget about those two bits there. And just to simplify this logo, I'm going to select everything together, and using the Pathfinder panel, I'm going to use the Unite option. That's going to create a single compound object from all of this. So even though it looked complex, again, it was actually not that hard to do. And for the Twitter logo, which is our final one, to save time, I actually went ahead and prepared the 13 circles that we need for this design. As you can see, these are all perfect circles, so there was no need for distorting any of them. And if I select all of them together, I can use the shape builder tool, and the same method that we've done before can be used to remove the details that we don't need. Just paint over everything. I like to start first close to the shape itself. There we go. We have these removed. There's another little detail there. Then these ones here. And then while still holding down Alt or Option, we add the Shift key to make a quick marquee selection and remove the rest. And for the remaining shapes, we can just use the Unite option in the Pathfinder panel. And since I already have the right color on the outline, I can just press Shift X on the keyboard to set it to fill. Once again, it was a quick and easy job once we had the circles in the right place. And that's all I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you had fun. And don't forget to download the file from the description below in case you want to practice the techniques that I covered. Also, let me know in the comment section if there's any particular logos you would like to see being recreated in Adobe Illustrator.
Thanks a lot for watching. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we release new videos. Click on the link on my right and start your membership today to get access to over 200 hours of training courses and personal mentoring by me and my team of creative professionals. Have fun learning, guys, and I will see you in the next one.